Hey Spuddies, Potato Whiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 6 in what is the longest and grindiest series of this game that I have done in years. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and the light at the end of the tunnel is artillery and tanks. So I'll position my two artillery in range of this observation balloon and the supply convoy so that they can blast Arretium. A single attack from each of these artilleries should be enough for us to take the city. So where the cities don't have fully developed walls, the AI hasn't researched steel, we should actually have a very easy time crushing them. Like, for example, here there's only medieval walls, I believe, so relatively speaking it should be pretty easy for us to crush that. Now we will probably be pivoting north, and we might even just leave Velitrae where it is. I don't think we necessarily need to conquer it, but Arretium, we'll just build all these basic buildings. We have so many builders and military engineers wandering around. We will want some city centers here to capture all these juicy strategic resources, and I'm trying to plan and plot how I want to march my army through this territory. I think we go through south of Brussels and we hit Nodwengu and then push northeast so that we can stay on this side of the mountain range. If I kind of take a look at this mountain range, I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. You can see there's like a mountain range running through the center of this continent. And so I think I'm going to keep this northern army on this side of this mountain range. We do have to push through this chunk of mountain range here. And then I've got a southern army down here that's playing on the south side of the mountain range. Now at a certain point we do need to push through a mountain range here on the transition to Grand Columbia, but that's fine. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to push up here to the north, clear out Ethiopia, then maybe cross through this mountain through east of Gondor near Coensia. This looks like a pretty open area where we can continue north. So yeah, but I think we should just stick to current locations, which is we're heading to Nodwengu. So let's begin the process of pushing forward. I am going to want to bring down or over some more military engineers so that we can get a nice railroad going through here so it's easier to reinforce. And indeed any of my wounded units, I'm going to go ahead and just tell them to heal up for a turn or two before they head to the front. Right, excellent. We've got another fighter. I'll put it in Babanango. And we've got a really nice railroad coming along through here. We'll build a railroad straight to the north of Vilnius, straight to Kangela. I don't see any more strategics. We do have an annoying cuirassier over here. Hopefully a couple of city shots will clear him out, and then that'll let me bring these guys over. Let me quickly do a quick search for railroads. Yeah, we'll start moving our military engineers over. Perfect. Now we are still in the process of locking in and improving as much high quality land as we can in our cities, and it just involves a little bit of micromanagement, making sure that like every now and again I'm like checking a city, and like if it's working a specialist tile, I make sure to work like an unimproved flat tile so that I know to build a lumber mill on that tile. Gustav Eiffel is in position to help the Estadio, which we will press him there. Now it's going to be 7 turns away. Remember, that is +2 amenities across our entire empire, which will pretty much take care of all of our amenity problems for the rest of the game. We will want another supply convoy down here in the south, but I don't think I'm actually producing it. Let me pop into Koseg and quickly queue up a supply convoy. I do have a biplane. I'll upgrade him to a fighter. You want to spend about no more than about a quarter, in my opinion, of your strategic resources on fighters over bombers. Bombers are better, just especially in particular against the AI, because the AI isn't very good at defending against bombers, and they just don't have that many units to protect themselves, so you just don't need the fighters, and the fighters are good at killing units, right? So that's the purpose of them, so you just don't need that many of them. That's kind of like a vibes-based opinion that I have from just like playing the game a lot. Okay, so we're exploring up here to the north. We are finding some barb camps in the ices. It's kind of fun. It's like the barbarians to the north. Man, I gotta say, I am really interested in that new civilization patch, the test of time patch. But there's just something about these classic Civ games, Civ 6, Civ 5, even Civ 4. There's something about them that and it's really conceptually, Civilization 7 is like super interesting, but there's just something not satisfying about the gameplay that I just don't love. I like moving little guys around and making an impact on the map. All right, we'll vote this down. We'll spend about most of our diplomatic favor on it, so we'll vote it down 7 times. Hopefully it won't fire, because we don't want to have to deal with emergencies. It's not something that we need to put a ridiculous amount of resources into. It's just nice if we don't have to deal with them. So we got the war department in the capital of Buda. I don't think we're going to be getting the broadcast center. This is again one of those situations where I wish I could control right click a building. I just wish I had a way to tell the game that, hey, I don't actually ever want to build this in this city. You know? Like this doesn't fit within my scope of my plans, because every time I look at this, every time I come back to the city, I have to kind of sort through my thoughts and think about what do we actually need to build. Taking a look at our oil situation, probably what would be good, actually weirdly enough, would be a settler that I could send up to here, and I would produce the settlers way faster in my capital than anywhere else. It does mean that I won't get another district in here for a while because the city will lose population, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're trying to optimize at this current time in the game for gold. So we want to send to Melbourne. That will be here. So we'll send that trader to there. Do we have more traders? No more traders are available. The city has all the districts that it needs. It's working really high quality tiles. It should be growing its borders. It's actually doing really well across a variety of metrics. We could even build some of these wonders and stuff, but I don't think we will. In terms of what the best thing to do with this city is, it would potentially be to build a single military engineer, build a railway through here to this city and to these cities, and then create builders to head over here to improve this territory. So I think what I'll do is I'll queue up a single military engineer and then just a rake of builders to be sent to improve that. Tata, similarly, probably could use its borders expanded, but we don't really have a way to expand its borders too much, so it's just doing fine. We have the harbour and the commercial hub. We could build another district if we really wanted to. The water park would give us a bunch of extra amenities, but we already have one nearby, so we don't necessarily need it. This could be another building from which we spam builders or even settlers. There are potentially strategic resources down here, like I think uranium can spawn in snow, and depending on what we discover down here, we'll make some different decisions. Now, I do need to think about there's oil inside my territory somewhere. One of these builders will go get this oil in a moment. That's fine. So what do I want to build in Tata? I could continue to build military units to support this. We are probably better off, again, either producing gold by spamming harbour or commercial hub investments to massively increase the amount of gold production we have so that we can support the military that we have, or we can't really supply the strategic resource. Like, we can't really supply the expansion of our army by much. We don't need much science. We don't need culture. We don't need faith. I mean, technically, we are Eastern Orthodoxy. So if we take a peek at this, that's just faith and culture, which we don't need those resources. We don't need the neighborhood. We don't need the aqueduct. We don't need any of these wonders. More builders to sort of move in and improve the empires that we're conquering would supply us with more resources. We could also produce a settler. It would take a very long time. I tell you what, I think what we'll do is I'll just queue up a rake of builders in Tata. Now, Ballarat has built a settler, and the settler is for here. So we'll just get into position. This just clears up and claims all this land here. Beautiful. We'll start expanding there. Let's get you another settler because we do have a spot right here that we want to get. Making sure that we're improving our territory in the correct way. Ugarit, again, we don't need the university. We don't need the broadcast center. I could make an argument for the coal power plant. We're burning a lot of coal, so I do expect the climate to have a bad time pretty soon. So I'll get that coal power plant. It's not bad. We got the shipyard in Inuk. I don't know where the nearest water park is. I wish I could alt left click this and it would be like, here's the nearest, where, blah, 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 blah. So if I search for water park, let's have a look. Right, we've got a water park over there, water park over there. There's one over here. Yeah, okay, so I don't see a water park up here to the north. So this could be time to get one. If we look at city overlap and we want to look at 9 range overlaps. Well, it's off the charts, is what I'm going to say here. That's what this is telling me. So if I were to build it... Oh, I misclicked. Hold on. Let me just see if I can get this back. Hold on. I think I broke the thingy. So if I take a look here... God, no, I don't want to click on things. I'm trying to move around the map with this map mode active. So if I click very carefully, and I hover this right here, I barely miss 2 cities. I do pick up Toowoomba versus, I guess if I put it here in this lake, I do hit Byblos and stuff, so I think I'll put it in this lake here. So if I pop into Inuk, come in here, I'll swap that tile. Yeah, we don't need these buildings, so I'll quickly grab myself a water park. This way we can get the AoE amenities here, keeping our amenities super high. Kangela finished its granary. We'll crack out a pair of builders. That'll keep this place busy. Tatabanya, we're going to make sure that we tell this place to focus on food and production. I think we'll open with the harbor right there. We'll try to make sure to chop out that harbor. Otherwise, we'll get Monument Granary in Zombathali. I'll just promote Pingala with my governor title just for memes. And then in Sydney, yeah. Keep building those railroads. Lovely. Okay, still got a bunch of buildings. So many buildings knocking around. Well, this is just like I guess it's the price you pay for having an awesome empire, you know? All right, we built a bunch of railroads. Let's pop you in there. All right, you're in the city now. Harvest that so we can food push the city. Do improve that oil for me. Thank you. Get rid of that so we can put a lumber mill there. We have our fighter. I'm going to say we want to get cockpit armor and strafe because we're more interested in dealing damage to land units than we are anything else. And now we got to start thinking about moving our army forward. Oh, let's build a little railroad right there. You move forward, get you to here. I need a scout unit. I guess you can be the scout. Start blasting the city. Nadwengu will fall quickly, which is wonderful. Let's deploy our fighter here for vision. Beautiful. That's another really great thing that fighters can do is provide a ton of vision. We should be able to grab that city next turn. Let's improve this aluminum so we can build more aircraft. We're running out of oil, but we do have some oil we can improve, which is okay. It was great, in fact. Observation balloon, make your way over there. Thank you. And now we need to deal with this southern front. I think what I'll do is I'll send a single artillery down here. And we'll just slam and blast the city over and over until it falls. Then we'll send the rest of our army up north to clear out the rest of the Roman Empire. So let's push a tank up to Lugdunum so that we can get vision. You do have range. You also have a promotion. It would be nice to get you leveled up. Let's push you forward. I'm going to link that. Then we want you here as well. We want a balloon there too to provide the range. We'll keep on making railroads so that we link up to Velitrae. We don't need 2 tanks in the south, do we? You know what? I'll send 2 tanks to the south just to speed things up. And I'll send a tank up over here to Lugdunum so we can start blasting through enemy units. In theory, you should have been able to act, but I kind of messed up. It's okay. All right, I'll deploy a fighter above this unit. That'll give us control. And we will move another artillery army in, and you can start building the railroads that we need to keep our momentum. Yeah, you're in a bit of trouble. But you know what? If I fortify, you'll get attacked twice. You should live, and then I might be able to promote you and heal you and save you. So I think it might be better for me to actually fortify to get the +6 combat strength rather than attack. Oh, we found the Dead Sea. Nice. A little bit of error score. I'm not going to complain about that. Okay, cool. All right, Menelik wants peace, but I am not interested in peace. Coupe's mad about where I settled, but I just don't give a damn about what he thinks. His opinion means nothing to me. I don't even know what to vote for in this. I'm just going to put a single vote into city center. Again, I don't really care who wins this. I will vote against the World's Fair because it's a victory condition I don't care about. And it would be nice if I got extra loyalty. I don't necessarily care about population growth at this phase of the game, so I don't care if I lose 20% population growth. Plus, if I'm able to achieve maximum amenities, it's fine. So Rome got the migration treaty. Don't care. Alright, so we have access to Spec Ops now, which is the ultimate recon type. And +1 food to fishing boats. Awesome. There's the space race. None of that really matters because we're just looking to go towards globalization. We're going to blast Velitrae. Keep building railroads to it. We should, in theory... No, we won't break it this turn. We'll break it next turn. Lugdunum, on the other hand, it has Renaissance walls, which makes it a little bit tougher. We don't have any units in range for this fighter to really make a difference, so I may as well just get a little bit of experience from shooting the city. We're going to do some damage. You have a promotion. Let's make sure we get you leveled up. We'll move you forward. Blast. There's a railroad. We can do quite a bit of damage to the city. Not able to quite take it this turn. That's okay. It'll be the sort of thing that we'll need to make happen over time. Okay. We've got plastics. We've got advanced flight. We can now start producing bombers, which once we have our aerodromes set up, we will. Although I think a couple of my cities that have aerodromes aren't quite ready to, aren't quite producing bombers. The next thing that would probably help us in our war would be to upgrade our observation balloons to drones. This would provide +5 combat strength to siege units within 1 hex, which is great. Really improving our artillery. Ludwig van Beethoven is a musician. We don't care about the culture from him, but it's fine. Quick check-in on pest. Yeah, you're working all the good tiles. We do have a builder in here. Speaking of pest, I am going to run some projects in here for gold, I think. I'm going to run a bunch of encampment projects. I'm trying to remember where my aerodromes were. I had one somewhere, and I can spend gold to get some bombers. We have enough aluminum for a ridiculous number of bombers, so I'll just start purchasing them now. One at a time in Adelaide. There's 2 in Adelaide. I love purchasing bombers. We'll start hard building one in here as well. We got our bank in Antium. This is why we want to have lots of gold. We have the encampment. We have the commercial hub. Those are the 2 big things that you want. Sort of taking a look at the land. It's fine. I don't know if we need to get more stuff in here. One thing to consider is like, what does the industrial zone layout look like? And the entertainment complex layout, which I think if we check our city overlaps here, we could hit some more cities by putting an industrial zone and a entertainment complex on the sheep and beside the sheep. So I think what we'll do is we will put that into our plan because those are AoE bonuses. You can take that sheep tile. Oh, I can't because you're occupied. That's okay. In the meantime, spam me out some builders. We'll need to improve this terrain. We've got our coal power plant in Kexmet. We could make use of this place to build airplanes if we wanted to. I think I'm just going to do industrial zone logistics. Actually, that's the only district you have? I suppose I should build my commercial hub for gold. That makes a lot more sense to me. Ulundi needs to repair a few more buildings before we can really give it any new orders. Balayawo, you're ready for a couple of builders, so we'll queue those up. Sidon, you built an archaeologist, which is completely hilarious to me, and this guy's mad that I'm digging up archaeological digs. Whatever, dude. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything that I really need. I could, in theory, make some units to be sent west. Most likely what I would do is create some sort of low-cost unit to capture the city, like a single tank or 2, plus an aircraft carrier. We don't unlock aircraft carriers for another little bit, but yeah, I think what we'll do is get to work on, I suppose we'll just do a bunch of encampment projects. It's kind of that phase of the game where like just having extra gold actually multiplies our military capabilities. We got the bank in Egger. Let's get to work on the armory as well. One of my cards went obsolete. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the amenities one, but that does open up a wild card slot. We are still using liberalism. We probably won't lead liberalism after Estadio de Maracana. Monarchic legacy is also like, once we're negative on diplomatic favor, monarchic legacy drops off in value massively. We will probably be negative on diplomatic favor sooner rather than later. I do think martial law could be good. The loyalty is fantastic. Less war weariness is useful. Sports media is AoE amenities. That's also a really good one. Should pretty much bump up most of my empire into the super happy phase. Let me just go ahead and see if I can get an update. Okay, maybe that won't update for now. Although I don't know if that +1 amenity from the card actually turns into an AoE amenity. That's something I've never scienced before, actually. The sort of thing that I should have scienced after playing this game for nearly 10 years, but I have not. Never scienced it. There's a lot of things I haven't scienced. Like your oh, believe me. We've done a lot of research there. All right, we've got a trader here. Again, we're mostly looking to get gold. Let's organize by gold. Oh, begin a trade. Well, actually, the envoy from Zanzibar is worth it. More builders. Excellent. We actually found a really nice railroad through Vilnius here, which I'm super happy to exploit. We will, of course, keep railroading to the east. Nodwengu should fall here. We'll capture it. Excellent. We can liberate it to the Zulu. I will be keeping it. There's a little bit of a loyalty issue here. Where is Victor. Let me go ahead and pop him in there. And we can keep pushing forward now through this slightly more open terrain in the south to Menelik. Fantastic. Making great progress. Let me go ahead and rebase you into Nodwengu. Got a tank moving forward. Just take whatever the easiest promotion to click on is, because I think in the grand scheme of things it's not going to make a huge difference. I will rebase you here so that I can deploy you over the desert. We'll go ahead and just get queue up some basic buildings in the newly captured cities. We do have an observation balloon on the way to the front line. And yeah, you're in the middle of repair work. Move there. We've almost completed the Giga Railroad. All right, we shot that guy. He's clear. And we got our field cannon. I'm just kind of exploring in random directions with some of these units, honestly, trying to get them killed. Alrighty, we can chop out this harbor. Beautiful. Random pike and shot unit we don't care about. Half tempted to just clear this barb camp and then not care if you die. Maybe you'll live, who knows. Oh well, we found the Bermuda Triangle. That's really cool. Right, we get shot in Nazca. He wants to be friends. I am going to tell people to stop asking for friendship because I am no longer looking for allies on the world map. Everyone is my enemy. I'm pretty sure a city just flipped to me. I think it's the one in the mountain range. I heard the noise for it. There's synthetic materials advanced. Let's go ahead and keep this. Yeah, no Bamba. We'll keep it. +3 era score. Beautiful. You know what? I'm gonna build this broadcast center, not for any logical reason, but just because it'll mean this city won't ask me for updates for a long time. Like 30 turns of not having to give it any orders. So this settler here is actually designed, or like supposed to be sent up here. So I'm going to send him to Ondini, and then in my capital, I'll produce another 2 settlers to be sent up to the northeast. We got the aerodrome in, so let's queue up a bomber so we can get that underway. Keep on improving random ass tiles at this point. We're just kind of improving every tile that we can, and we can start moving these bombers out to the front line, which is excellent. They will take a couple of turns to get out there, but they will get there. Okay, now, good sir, put me a rail line right there. You should actually put a railway line right there. We've almost cleared Vilnius, both from the north and from the south, which is kind of fun, that we've railed our way through the city. Me, when I'm in a small town where your mom lives. Okay, so we're already at war with Menelik. Let's go ahead and deploy the fighter on the border with our enemies, just so that we can see better. You have the range to begin blasting Almada. I'll move this tank army forward. You can begin to approach as well. You also have good range. You don't quite have as good range, but Almada should fall. No, won't fall quite this turn, but that's okay. Well, actually, I think I got another artillery in range. We can grab that city. That's beautiful. Another one bites the dust. Let's deploy this airplane right on the border here so that we have good vision over the desert. We can kind of control this space. Almada, just queue up your random ass buildings. We'll eventually get around to improving you and making you useful. Although there is kind of a question of like the diminishing return of improving the territory of the places that we've captured. But I think it kind of makes me, if it makes me feel better, that if I go through and actually make the land like nice, that there's something satisfying about, you know, not just conquering and killing and all that stuff, that I'm actually like making things nice in terms of yields, nice and productive. I've built so much railroad. It feels good, honestly. Ooh, I do want to build some Nazca lines. I'm thinking I want to build them like this. Here's my theory. So the way Nazca lines work, you kind of want to make them like a network. Hold on, let me just explain this. So Nazca is a city-state, and it gives you access to the unique improvement, the Nazca line, okay? Now, normally a desert tile has 0 yield, okay? So some of this has been improved, but I just want you to see that this desert has 0 yield. If you build a Nazca line, right, which is the unique improvement, it adds +1 faith to the adjacent tiles, +1 faith to tiles with a resource, +1 food to adjacent desert and desert hills, and +1 production to adjacent flat tiles. So I think the really, really important thing to think about for can only be built, and it has to be built on flat desert. So the thing I want you to kind of think about with the Nazca line, right, is if I build this somewhere, I'm kind of just doing it in clear terrain. This provides 1 food, it adds 1/1 to all adjacent tiles. So this tile right here, if I were to work it, let's just say, I don't know, I put solar panels on it, right? Where's the solar panel one? +1 gold, +1 production. Because this works on, even if the tile is improved. That's the thing I need you to understand. So this would become a 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, right? In terms of that's food, production, gold. If I put another Nazca line beside it, wait, hold on. So basically, I want you to imagine that a single Nazca line has like 6 food, 6 production, but you can't work the tile. It's basically like you give up a tile and you can get up to 6 food and 6 production. And so there comes a question of like, how do you lay out your Nazca lines in a city to optimize your yields? Now, in my opinion, it's almost always worth it to put Nazca lines next to desert hills, because the desert hills will gain food from them, which makes them much more workable, right? Because the Nazca line adds +1 food, but it doesn't add production from what I remember. So thinking about, you know, if we imagine Sazed at its maximum extent, and we can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Nazca line tiles. So we could, in theory, right, if we put a Nazca line on every single tile that is in range of this city, let's just say hypothetically we were to do this. This would improve the maximum number of tiles, right? But there's some arrangement of Nazca of these lines that actually maximizes the yield. It's somewhere between building no Nazca lines and building as many as possible. And we know it's probably not building none, and it could be building all of them. But is there a way for us to actually improve the number of yields that the city has access to by removing Nazca lines, right? Like in terms of the potential of the land, right? Like take this Nazca line right here, for example. It's improving 2 tiles, right? +1 food, +1 food, but it's also being improved by 2 tiles. So if I was to take this away, the net benefit, the net quality of the land is about the same, right? Like this Nazca line, because these 2 are here and you can't work the tile itself, and the tile itself is being improved, this is a neutral Nazca thing. If I remove this, I actually just end up in the same position. And so trying to figure this out is an interesting dance. And typically, the more Nazca lines you have adjacent to each other, the higher the probability that it's going to be beneficial to remove one. Like take this Nazca line right here. This would improve this tile, it would improve this tile and this tile, but it itself is being improved by 4 Nazca lines. So if I were to delete this, I would lose 2 food and 2 production, but I would gain 4 food, 4 production. So this is a remover, right? Like this is how you do the calculation. I hope that this makes sense. And then we can kind of do the same thing over here, right? If we look at this one, it's improving 2 tiles, but it's being improved by 3. So we can remove it. And now we've just gained +1 food and production potential from the land here. And then similarly, this one here, or this one, right? Either of these 2 are improving 2 tiles. Well, this one's actually improving 3. This one's improving 2 tiles. This one's improving 3 adjacent tiles, which means if we delete the one that's only improving 2, because it's being improved by 3 adjacents, we improve the overall quality of the land. Whereas here, I hope this is making sense, that there is like an optimal allocation of Nazca lines. This one is improving 2 and is adjacent to 2, so it would be neutral if we deleted it. This one is improving 4 tiles, but being improved by 2, so it would be neutral if we deleted it. And so I think we have found I wouldn't say that this is the optimal configuration of Nazca lines, but it is a more optimal configuration of Nazca lines than just building all of the Nazca lines. And so this is kind of like how you want to do the maths. Now, if you want to get really, really complicated, you should really do it almost like a wave function collapse, where you put Nazca line pins down on every single tile, and then you do the calculations to delete. But I just wanted to show off the example of like, how do you get the most out of the Nazca line? What's the game theory behind it? How does it work? How should you think about this? And I hope that gives you like that they're like the real concept that I want you to walk away from that discussion there is that somewhere between 0 Nazca lines and the maximum, skewed towards the maximum number of Nazca lines that you can build, there is probably an optimal number of Nazca lines. And it's almost certainly not going to be none, but it probably isn't all of them. And that's the key takeaway there. When you're thinking about like how many Nazca lines should I put into a city? How many should I build? All right, let's start blasting Ravenna. Keep moving some artillery up. We got a triple attack on it. We captured Lugdunum. You're going to take a shot, but that's okay. We have a biplane. I'll use the biplane to damage the encampment because why not? You've been captured. We'll rebuild your monument. We've got a spy in here. We're going to steal gold because we're trying to level up our spies. You're supposed to be on auto explore just so I don't have to micromanage you. I'm going to put you on auto explore as well. I'm praying that auto explore will get these units killed. What a strange thing to pray for, eh? All right, we got our military engineer in Győr that we talked about earlier. We're going to start building our railroad to the east. We still want to do some chopping in here, but it's not necessarily possible. We do want Velitrae to fall. You have a promotion, so we'll take it on you. We'll capture the city with you instead. Beautiful. Capture the unit from Rome. We keep this city. And my spy has been kicked out of the city. That's fine. We'll lose 3 combat strength because we're no longer running a spy mission. That's fine. We'll reposition this army slightly to the north so that we can begin the attack on China. Unfortunately, if I type in Renaissance walls, this is kind of a good way to tell how difficult of a time you're going to have pushing through an enemy's empire. You could see almost every single one of his city centers has Renaissance walls, which is annoying. So we're looking forward to it. It's not massively annoying. It's just like, oh, I have to crush my way through all this crap. All right, so Leo Tolstoy, War and Peace. I'm actually reading, my cousin bought me a copy of The Death of Ivan Ilyich, and I'm like, I keep trying to read it, mostly when I'm pooping, and I'm struggling a little. Looks like the territory here could honestly use a little bit of improvement, so I'm going to crack out a couple of builders in Esztergom. I do like making sure there's something really satisfying about just making sure your cities have like the maximum possible yield. So that's why I like building lots of builders. We did get a settler in Byblos. I don't remember what this one was for. I think you were actually for the northeast, weren't you? So why don't you head to Quadakuza and we will cancel one of the settlers in the capital because we don't need one now. University encampment, holy site. I suppose, I mean, if I go to the builder lens, there's not a huge amount to improve in the area. But another couple builders from this side of the map wouldn't be the worst. We got our coal power plant in Ugarit. I don't necessarily think we need to build anything in here. I could run some industrial zone logistics just to save some coal, which I don't hate. So we'll just run that. We're just trying to figure out ways to like, how can we keep our cities busy in a reasonable manner in terms of like making sure that I don't lose my mind with regards to micromanagement, but also making sure that my empire is actually still efficiently performing. We do want to put a spy. This is the spy that got kicked out of Rome. So I want to look for a Chinese city. I'm going to put them into Shanghai. I have actually heard that Shanghai is a really cool tourist city these days because I believe, I can't remember who was telling me this. Maybe it was like a Chinese guy or someone who's planning to go to Shanghai. But basically, as far as I'm aware, they got rid of like all the industrial stuff. And now it's basically just like there's no more like factories or whatever. It's just like a culture city. Like you can just do some really awesome cultural activities in Shanghai. That's what I've heard. It's one of those cities that I want to visit. I did visit China. And let me tell you, China is a super, super cool place. The people are incredibly nice. Getting to chat to them. There's a lot of really, really nice things about China. The only thing that I didn't love was like the inconvenience of the police state. And what I mean by or I guess surveillance state, like they just had like to get onto a subway, you had to like do a you had to walk through one of those scanners. You had to get like frisked or whatever. Or maybe it wasn't every subway. I did go to Beijing, which is like the political capital, so maybe you can kind of understand that there's more like security in Beijing. But I get the impression that like it's a pretty big inconvenience just in your day-to-day life. Which is like the perspective that I'm looking at it from as a tourist, right? Like, you know, I'm not trying to look at things from like the moralizing, oh, they've got, you know, police in every corner and da, 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 da. But it was more so just looking at it from the eyes of the locals and just kind of seeing how annoying it was to have to like check your bag in or, you know, hand over your ID and get searched. Now, when it comes to tourists, they had like this special tourist program thing where like you didn't actually need a visa to visit, and that was actually really nice. Now, yeah, so we'll keep planting these down. Yeah, I really like China, and I would like to go back. I think It is a super interesting place from a cultural point of view. Like the level, like you imagine the level of, okay, hold on, let's do a little bit of damage to Ravenna here. So we shoot twice, we should be able to capture. Like I want you to imagine the biggest European palace, okay? The most ostentatious, incredible places in Europe that were built by European kings, okay? The Forbidden City is like this. These emperors were on like European kings, like from a point of view of power and wealth, were like regional nobles relative to the sheer, like dude had people, because he was like descended from the like quote unquote descended from the gods, and he had bajillion concubines and all this sort of stuff. People would carry his water down from the mountains because he was only like, because he's descended from the gods, and he's basically like the emperor is basically a demigod. He has to drink mountain water, and they would build these gigantic temples. Like they cut 1,000-year-old trees where you would need like 5 or 6 people to wrap your hands around the trunks of these trees, and it's supporting up the temples and the pavilions and the. Dude, it was insane. Like, if you ever get a chance to go visit the Forbidden City, you get to walk around in the bones of a fallen empire. Like, that's the way that I thought. I was like walking around, and I'm just like, holy, this was like a 2,000 to 3,000 year, or well, it was only like 600-year-old temple or whatever, or the temple of the Forbidden City. But I was like walking around in the bones of an empire, and I felt like, when you're playing like Stellaris or something, that's what I felt. I felt like I was walking around inside a fallen empire. It completely just obliterated my brain. It like I was just I had like that mind incomprehensible moment of just like, this person was in charge of 1 billion, or well, not 1 billion, but like hundreds of millions of people, an insane piece of land, ridiculous, like huge power, and like, yeah, it was crazy. I have no other way to describe it than I felt like I was walking around in the bones of a fallen empire. But the thing that was beautiful, there was a sort of a beauty in that, I want to be clear, is because it was the people who had broken the empire. And there was something kind of beautiful about that they had overthrown these tyrants that had ruled for however long, right? And enforced this top-down hierarchy. And now all these Chinese tourists from all over the country are just like walking around inside the Emperor's Temple, inside the literal Forbidden City, walking through the gate of heaven that the Emperor himself would only walk through once in his lifetime, walking along the marbled steps and like looking at the carved dragons and all this stuff that was reserved only for the most powerful, the most holy, the most like religiously ordained, most powerful man on earth. And the people overthrew that empire, and we got to just walk through the bones of it for fun. It was just like, I'm getting like that feeling on the back of my neck, the frisson of it when I think about it, because it totally blasted my mind. These people who had been, you think about like the Chinese people in the early 1900s, the restrictions that they have upon them. And like they translated that Communist Manifesto, and they were like, the Emperor's got to go, baby. And there's also a really cool film. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but my tour guide recommended it to me, and I really want to check it out. It's called The Last Emperor. And it's about like the literal last emperor. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's like the last emperor of China, who, when the monarchy was basically torn down, he just had to become a guy and get a job. Which I don't know what the situation was. He was describing it to me, and he said it's like a really classic Chinese movie, and I'm like, oh dude, I need to check that out. Yeah, dude, it was a great time. Just from that, like, I don't know what I was expecting from China, because I came here for Chinese culture. I came there for like Chinese culture, and also to relax, because it was a honeymoon, right? We're on a honeymoon, and we wanted to just because we'd spent like 2 weeks in Japan, and we've did so much in Japan. And so I was like, okay, there's a direct flight home from Beijing. Let's spend a week in Beijing. We'll just make sure we do really light stuff. We enjoy the food. We do a little bit of culture. Like we visited the Great Wall. I actually want you to understand that, like, if you haven't seen the Great Wall, in your head, you're thinking it's like, here's oh look, there's a border here, and they built a wall, and it's just a really long wall. Okay, I need you to understand that it's not a border. Okay, it's a fucking mountain range. Okay, and they built a wall on top of the mountains with towers, and like a person is like this big. Okay, and you can climb this. I think I went to Tower 8 or whatever it is in Badaling. You cannot comprehend how big the Great Wall is unless you visited it. Okay. Now, this was the Great Wall near Beijing, so it was like super nice. But in some places, the Great Wall, it's just like a mound of dirt that looks like this. It was literally just to make it harder for cavalry. But in some places, it's literally like you think, oh, you know, like, oh, they have like steps going up because like it's a really steep thing. You're going up a mountain. No, sometimes it's literally just smooth and you got to just grip with your toes and go up this shit. It's insane. The Great Wall, dude. You cannot comprehend how insane this is. But also, the blood and toil that was spilled to create this is on the, like, you imagine, and I think the dude was telling me that, like, you know, when each family was expected to send one son to go build the Great Wall. And so when you're 18, you get shipped off to build this wall. And there was one guy, you know, there's a story of I think it's like a classic lover's tale. You know, you never know how much truth there in these things, right? But it was a beautiful story about this guy who, you know, he turns 18, he gets married to his girlfriend, and then, you know, the emperor's people come around. He's like, you got to go build a wall, bro. And they take him to the wall. And a couple of years later, she goes looking for him. And it turns out he died while building the wall. And there wasn't even like a marked grave. They were just like, oh, well, we got to keep building the wall. The emperor says we got to build this wall. Like the level of human suffering and basically, you know, indentured servitude, slavery, whatever, serfdom, whatever you, however you want to think about it, that went into creating this insane structure blew my mind. That like I was walking around in the bones of the most powerful and most oppressive autocracy, you know, like and when I say oppressive, I mean like to their own people, because that's what feudalism is, right? It's like you're not in charge of shit. You're gonna do whatever the guy who's in charge of you tells you to do, because you don't have a choice. You don't have rights. There's no conscientious objecting to building the wall. You're gonna get beaten and brought to the wall. Yeah, dude, it was that messed with me. Like I was just thinking of like the thousands upon thousands of people who were, you know, for lack of a better, for you know, a way to describe it is like their bones are like the mortar between the bricks. You know what I mean? That shit, that's crazy. Oh, we captured the pyramids. I know, that messed me up. It was, it's insane. And now when I play Civ games, sometimes when I'm building like the pyramids or, you know, some other great wonder, I'm thinking about like the churning mass of workers who are being drafted to build it. And I get kind of emotional. I know, man, it messed me up. Started having feelings when I was thinking about the history of China, because I think there's something just about the scale of China that makes you really think about it. And it also makes me think about, like, you know, enslaved people in America. And not even necessarily, doesn't even have to be the enslaved people. It can be just people who, by circumstance or whatever, were forced, you know, through coercion or economic forces or whatever, to build these gargantuan, huge systems that basically chewed them up like bone meal and spat out economic productivity for someone else. And when I think about that stuff, it messes me up, man. I don't know. Anyway, that was what was going through my head in China. It was crazy stuff. And here's the thing. I recommend it. I think you should go have that experience, because it will, I think we too often, we focus on experiences that are like pleasurable. Like going to the movies, eating nice food, But there is something about experiencing an almost human cosmic horror that I don't know if I want to say I enjoyed, but I definitely valued it. I valued that experience. And I think seeing and feeling those things and, you know, the horrors of the past, but it's a very I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a very mundane horror because it's culture, it's history. But then when you come up against it, you just, I don't know, man. It made me think and feel. And I really valued that experience. Of just getting to have that experience was really, really valuable. I don't want to say I enjoyed it, but I valued it a lot. Anyway, we got off track. We stopped talking about Civ. All right, we got a nice seaport. I probably do want to build a couple of seaports. I was thinking about plugging in international agencies so that we can crack out a few techs real quick. I'm going to drop sports media. I'm going to plug in International Space Station because that's going to give us a ridiculous amount of science, right? You get +5 science per city-state you're Susan over. We're playing Hungary. We have a bajillion city-state Suzes. You know. And that'll mean we'll get to some of these really nice late-game techs a few turns sooner. All right, let's focus back on the game a little bit here. Let's make some progress. So we're hitting Menelik. We're going to start blasting the city of Sodo. I do have a bomber in range. They'll do a big chunk. Beautiful. Still in the process of building railroads. Trying to get reinforcements over. We're no longer burning oil, so we could, in theory, start getting some more units to add to the army. We could go for corporate libertarianism. The nice advantage of corporate libertarianism is it does have an extra slot. We do lose a little bit of science. I don't think that's a big deal. So we'll get to work on corporate libertarianism. I think it's technically better than fascism because we can retain the combat strength. We'll move a bomber over to Ravenna. What are we up to? We're at 14 per turn, so we can keep making bombers. Excellent. We have a commercial hub in Mohacs. Let's get the market there. Beautiful. Commercial hub in Kexmet market as well. We got the settler in Ballarat. That was for over there. If I go to the builder map mode, I could take a little peek. There's a few builders over here to the east. I'll tell you what, why don't you crack me out 2 more builders? Velitrae, go ahead and get the monument. I have a governor title, just promoting Pingala, just out of boredom. Okay, so we got to take Rome. Rome is the Roman capital. Shocker, I know. Big reveal. Sorry for spoiling the big reveal. But that is an important city for us to capture because remember, the domination victory requires us to capture everyone's capital. So if we take a look at the victory condition here, we have captured 3. So, but things are speeding up. Things are speeding up. That's something, to my credit and the credit of my armies. We are blasting our way through faster and faster. Okay, we can't get you up there. Who is this? This is China. Let's denounce China and we'll declare a Golden Age war next turn, I think. Okay, we got some aluminum over here. We do want to improve that so that we can have a big air force. Chop that woods right there. Then we've got the artillery here. We want to keep pushing up here towards Ethiopia. We've got a lot of units we need to press forward. We can crash into Soda with that tank pretty comfortably. Let's keep moving this artillery forward. We've got even more. We've got a tank over here. We'll push you forward as well. Just mostly focused on trying to push as many of my units forward as we can, getting them closer and closer to the front line. Let me consider in Pest a tank army. In Koseg, I will consider as well going for another artillery just to add more units to the southern front because we do have a lot of oil now. Yeah, doing the count, we have at least room for 9 more units. So let's have a look here. Ugarit, I'm just going to add a couple of units. It'll take a little while for them to appear, but they will appear eventually. We could use gold for it, but that's not what I'm seeking. Yeah, this bomber isn't really in range for anything. We can get a bomber into Axum, which will be very useful. Chop right there. We'll get to work on the harbor now in Le Pequois. Trade routes, gold, production, all those beautiful things. Just improving the quality of our land. Start sending some builders up here to the northeast so we can start improving this territory. Let's buy this aluminum as well. Beautiful. The settlers being sent up to the northeast, which is the plan. And I've got a military engineer running around improving my territory as well. Yeah, we definitely need to chop out a bit here. Let's put the farms down on the floodplains. I've got a builder over here. Go and okay, so similar sort of logic here. Nazca line, Nazca line, Nazca line, Nazca line, Nazca line. So this Nazca line is improving 1 tile, but being improved by none. So it is worth keeping. This is kind of like the maths we can start doing. This Nazca line is improving 2 tiles, but being improved by 2. So it's a neutral, which means technically deleting it is positive because we get an extra tile to work. This Nazca line is being improved by 3, but improving only 1, which means it's deletable. No, it's improving 2, but it's being improved by 3. I think this one's better to delete because it makes the tiles slightly more balanced. But it's more or less the same calculation. It's improving 2, being improved by 2. So you do your little mathematical wave function collapse and delete a couple of the pins. All right, I'm going to delete some of these guys, I reckon. All right, Melbourne. Still need some productive improvements. We're making it happen. Please kill this cuirassier. Nazca has been holding the line for us for a very, very long time. So there's Estadio de Maracana. So +2 amenities in every city in your civilization is insane. It's also +6 culture. It's like one of the most ridiculously overpowered wonders in the entire game. Pretty much every city we have now is either happy or ecstatic. We also got the Aquatic Center in Launceston. Let's go ahead and get the commercial hub. I see a pretty decent +3 right there. We got the market in Mohacs. Let's get the bank and the seaport. Gold is very useful because it allows us to upgrade our units and instantaneously purchase them. We got the Estadio in Canberra. The hydroelectric dam is nice for the electricity, so we'll go ahead and just grab that really quick. Coming into Ulundi, we have all of the buildings that we need, so we'll crack out another couple of builders because his territory is looking a little bit underdeveloped. Ondini built a granary. Let's go ahead and crack out another couple of builders as well. This bomber isn't really in range to do much, so let's shoot the city of Sodo. This tank army won't quite be able to capture it, so I tell you what, I'll go ahead and take a promotion. You should be able to crack it. Beautiful. So there's Sodo broken. I'm wondering if my bombers have range. They do not. So I'll tell you what, I'll relocate this bomber and then see if I can bomb Gondar here. We can bomb Gondar, getting a nice start. We have a cuirassier next to Soda that we can shoot. We will be keeping that city, of course, and we'll do some basic repairs. Let's get that Hussar up. Maybe they can kill the cuirassier. And yeah, I think we want to basically fork this army into 2 directions. One, which will push to Gondar, and then start hitting. We're going to go ahead and do an early denounce on Canada because you can't do surprise wars on him. Golden Age wars do let you bypass that though, but it'll be nice. We'll probably send a fork here to the east, but I definitely want to send a small contingent to the north to hit Lalabella and Adwa. So I'll start moving some units up that way. Let's have a look here. You build that railroad, you go there. All right, we've got a railroad, so reinforcements should be able to make it. Excellent. So let's double check our railroad map mode here. Oh yeah, look at that network. We've got like our whole empire connected up. There's a couple of like little gaps here, but that's fine. Isn't that just beautiful? Every single one of these green markers I manually built. And I think that's something that's just really satisfying about Civ 6, that you handcraft your empire. And I think that's something that Civ 7 lacks. It doesn't feel like I handcrafted my tiles. Like I feel somewhat distance from them, which isn't the experience that I'm looking for. So we could crack Rome here. Let's do it. Boom. That is Rome dead. And now we're going to pivot to attacking China. So we'll go ahead and open diplomacy with Yongle, and then we will make the Golden Age War declaration. And Ostia is next. Let's grab the bomber. We'll blast you there. Make sure we get a tank army into position. Position this tank army slightly south. We'll get a few tank armies in position as we keep pushing artillery across. I'll get a railroad over here so we can start pushing. We want a railroad in Ostia. You're in range to blast. You have a promotion, so let's take it. We need a balloon on you. I tell you what, why don't you just link that balloon? I'll move you there. Fantastic. Ostia has almost fallen this turn already. I'm wondering if I can get a second tank over to hit it. I won't be able to, but we'll be able to grab it next turn. Let's get all the repair work going. We'll want to do the wave function collapse Nazca line theory in here. Let me go ahead and just like set it up. So we put a Nazca line on every single possible tile. This is how we begin it. And then when you have all your Nazca lines deleted, or placed rather, you start thinking about which ones you want to delete and which tiles you want to work. Well, ideally, I would love to work the tiles that are adjacent to Uluru because they already have yields. So like deleting this tile, because it's being improved by 3 tiles and Uluru is like really high value. This tile is only improving 1 tile, but it's being improved by 3. So that's like a value delete. This tile is improving 2, but is being improved by 2. So it's a neutral, but its work, it is a tile that has high value, so it's a good delete. Similarly here, this tile is improving 2 tiles, but it is not being improved by 2 tiles. But because this is a high value tile, I could move this to the left. And now the overall quality of my land has improved. This tile here is improving 3 tiles, one of which is a hill, so you do lose out on some food there, I'm pretty sure. You lose out on the production. So one of these 2 could be deleted. You're improving 3, whereas this guy's only improving 1, but is being improved by 3, so that's a delete. I don't remember if oases count here. Dougal, who would you prefer, Oasis or Blur? Also, Nazca lines next to city centers are high value because you automatically work the city center tile without any population requirement. Let's get the ski resort here because we love amenities. The more amenities I generate locally in my empire means the easier it is for my empire to automatically allocate amenities to where they need to go. We'll improve the floodplains in here. Now we get to look at our army up by the Ethiopian border. Yeah, we're still struggling to get through some of this rough terrain. We will, in due time. Move you up this way. Shoot that cuirassier. You fortify that tile. You can fall back now. Little guy, you've done your job. Also, I just got news that we're going to be adopting some cats. Meow. Any cat enjoyers in the chat? All right, we're moving our settlers up north. And we're continuing to do the thingy. Oh yeah. Oh, you were meant to shoot, not move. I do have room for a few more trade routes. That's something I should really get around to working on. It's just not a priority for me at this current time. So I'm not doing anything about it yet. You actually shouldn't be on Gondor. I'm going to move you to Mekele. All right, Nazca line here. That'll improve this tile. That's a 1-to-1 improvement. So it doesn't make a difference if we build it or not. We've got our 3 settlers here to settle the desert. Fantastic. Remember, each city acts as a location from which aircraft can operate. So there's computers. Grants the ability to construct an additional spy. 25% tourism across your empire. Excellent. We will be able to upgrade our drones, which will give us +5 combat strength on our artillery, and the way I want you to think about that, it's basically half a tech level. I'm going to move you 1 tile to the left and then shoot this guy just so that you're out of range of these 2 guys. They have to move forward into the danger zone to attack you. Now, I think it would be good for us to get access to aircraft carriers, as we can theoretically make use of these as mobile aircraft locations. For example, if I were to get an aircraft carrier up over here on the north side, we could swing it along here. 1 or 2 of them would be able to provide significant amounts of air support on the northern conflict, on the southern conflict as well. It would be really useful to have a couple of aircraft carriers in the water here providing air support. So that is something we will work towards. We did get Mary Catherine Goddard, who is one of the few really good great merchants for a war game, because she gives you +1 diplomatic visibility with every single civilization in the game, which is equivalent to +3 combat strength. And it's kind of like overcoming the deity difficulty bonus. So now the deity difficulty bonus just doesn't exist for us. Let's use our aircraft to bomb Xi'an. Ostia should fall without needing to bomb it with an aircraft. Excellent. So there's Ostia. I could liberate it to Rome. I won't be liberating it to Rome. Now I think we're going to put our front line into compression here on Xi'an, focus on funneling through this choke point before expanding out across the plains. You have a couple of movement points. Let's get you in range of the city so you can start blasting it. Let's hide our pins so we can make some decisions about where we want our guys to move. Fantastic. Let's upgrade you to a drone. You'll be able to assist my artillery much more effectively now. 2 bombers here and a railway builder. Got the bomber in here. Let's keep making them. We have a surplus of 13 aluminum per turn, so I think we're okay. Plenty of aluminium to go around. We'll send you up to the north and we'll start building another bomber. We got the bank in Tyre. It looks like a mega colossal scorruption here flew off. Enoch, why don't you go ahead and build me a flood barrier? May as well protect your tiles. I can't believe Dido declared war on me. What a baffling decision she has made. Okay, so we've got a watermill in Arpinum. Let's get the bank. Ravenna has the monument. Yeah, let's get a couple of builders in there so we can start improving the territory. We're repairing Ostia, and I will begin cracking out builders in here as well. So let's come into Esztergom, and I'm going to tell the people living in Esztergom to work actual tiles so that we know which tiles we need to improve at lumber mills to keep pumping up the productivity here. Go ahead and send you to the north, Mr. Builder, and you can help develop some of this underdeveloped territory to the northeast. Keep building these delicious farms. Excellent. Now, coming into Egger, make sure you work that tile right there. Build that right there. Beautiful. And, ooh, let's have a look. Okay, railroad there and a railroad there. Now we're picking up some speed. Excellent. We do... Okay, I think we've more or less handled the southern front. I think we can safely attack this city with a couple of tanks to get some experience, to get some progress on it. I'll bring this builder back so that he can go and improve the rest of our territory. Lumber mill, you're building a railroad. Excellent. This artillery needs a level up. I'm going to delete a couple of military engineers because my empire is starting to get like really linked up. Okay, railroad there. Railroad there. Settlers that can start crossing the Great Gap. No targets in range of that bomber. No targets in range of you. You guys are heading up north to Lalabella, so let's keep moving you. I'll bring a great general with you as well. I have a settler here, bafflingly. I think I captured that. I need Vision of Gondar so that I can attack it with my bombers. Can I get both bombers to bear? I can. Excellent. Beautiful. I may also be able to bring this tank to bear next turn and this tank to bear next turn. Might even be able to get to flip that city. And we're starting to get to the point now where artillery are actually going to be not too slow, but just outpaced a little bit by air. They're still great, don't get me wrong, for when a city has like really strong defenses, when you need to like really batter them down. But aircraft are definitely becoming kings of the skies. All right, quick railroad search. Yeah, my whole empire is like totally connected up, except for this city, which I never built a railroad in, which is kind of hilarious. It makes me think of Dublin, where the railroads are just chaotic and weird. Boom. Okay, turn back on the map pins so we know where to place these. I think you're done. Why can't I delete you? I think it's because you belong to a city-state. So I'm going to put you to sleep. Mary Catherine Goddard, thank you for the +1 visibility with all civs, which is +3 combat strength, effectively. Okay, I'm starting to feel like we're making big progress. I made the episode slightly longer on the recording side of things. 90 minutes, feeling pretty good. Still only made it like how many turns? Oh my god, what is that? 8 turns. Jesus. It's like 10 minutes per turn. I mean, if I was focused way less on developing my empire, we would make a lot more progress. But I'm still having so much fun playing the game. I'm like, I don't want to stop playing. So like, isn't that a really good sign? I don't know. I just really, really enjoy Civ 6, man. Anyway, I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.